My name's Aniya. I'm 19. I work in wholesale and I sell content of my toes.
Feetfinder.com. Have you ever gone on a date with a guy for like a foodie call?
Yeah, so I do this. I let all of them know my intentions beforehand. Guys enjoy spending money on me and I'm not going to say no. And I make a lot.
From the feet stuff? Mm-hmm. Oh, how much you make? A month?
Up to 40K.
Oh my God, that's impressive.
Typically, I keep around 4 or 5 of them. Just because some of them pay for different things. And a lot of the times, guys waste their own time because they're not straight up about what they want. So they'll lead you on until you give them what you want. And then when you never do, it's like a waste of their time, not mine.
Didn't she just say I never asked, then just now said she'll say what she needs?
I literally said that I didn't ask. I just tell them what I'm going to do and then they give me the money. That's that. And like I said, I'm not forcing these men to do it. It's not my fault that they don't have anything else to spend their money on except for me. Sounds like a personal problem. Why is it okay for you to go sleep around with everyone else?
Because it's harder for me.
And stick your, obviously not. Because I mean, I got 3 and you got 44.
It's easy
so
for her.
So it must be just as easy for you. And even if it is easy or harder for me, it doesn't matter. Because the moment that if I came up to you and told you, hey, I got like 40 to 50 bodies, you'd be like, hell no, she's ran through. But your just ass ran through. Exactly. But nobody says anything.
No, he's not ran through. He's the one running through.
You hooked up with Nathan yesterday.
It was late. It was late. I was drunk and I was horny. So.
What was the period of time that elapsed
I think I
until his penis was inside?
Maybe 45 to an hour.
And your body count is 3?
Yes.
Are you sure? Stand for
Dude,
this?
do you know that when I pulled up to his house, bro came outside with no clothes on?
He's the Rizzler.
Like,
he's the fucking Rizzler. He's the...
Yo.
Welcome back to the Controvert podcast. If you watch the Whatever podcast, you may recall in Dating Talk 54, there's a girl with red hair, said a lot of controversial statements. Well, today we have that guest, and we'd like to introduce yourself. Fuck. So go ahead and say your name, your age, and what you do right now.
My name is Aniya. I'm 20, and right now I'm working on real estate, and I work at a motorcycle shop.
Wow, real estate. Okay, so you went from doing Feet Finder in the first episode. So I'm sure a lot of people watched that first episode. Mm-hmm. They're like, this girl does Feet Finder. You're thinking about doing OnlyFans, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
And then now you're doing real estate?
Yeah, I'm in school. I've been in school for about 3 months now. I get my license in about 2 months.
Yo, that's fucking lit. All right, cool. So, I mean, I watched the Whatever podcast, right? And then I'm always curious what happens after the podcast or what backlash you would get. So let's talk a little bit about that first. So starting off with the first podcast that you did in Whatever, number 54, did you get a lot of backlash? Because I saw your Instagram, it was not active anymore. What happened with that?
So after the podcast, it was mostly just a lot of backlash from guy friends that I had. Most of them were upset about things that I had said or things that had happened with Nathan. But other than that, that was really the only backlash I really had, besides what Logan had posted that kind of turned it into controversial clips on his Instagram, as well as Nathan. But other than that, it was pretty cool.
Can you introduce who Nathan is on the podcast? Did he appear on the podcast?
Nathan is going to be the guy in the red shirt from episode 54. He's now my husband.
Holy yo, that's crazy. Wow. I mean, I was gonna ask you, like, what are you guys now? Are you guys together, still fuck buddies, or are you guys married? But you answered that question, because you know what, let's just get into some of the video.
Unavailable, and my longest relationship was 4 years.
You're unavailable. So situationship is it Nathan? Exposed.
Yes.
Okay.
So you looked really simp here, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like you were kind of simping. Like the way you said it, you're really shy. You're like, yeah, I'm not available anymore, right?
Yeah.
So that time you were kind of degrading him, and then on this podcast, So from the first podcast to this one, the first podcast you were kind of degrading him. You're like, oh, sex is not good, and we'll talk about like the sex later. But you're degrading him, and then now here you're like saying it in a very like shy way. So do you think he kind of changed you to become more feminine? No. Okay, like elaborate on that. What's going on?
Because I don't know where this whole thing came from of like women doing certain things where it doesn't make them feminine, but I've been the same way since before I met Nathan and after. I did the same things, I do the same things now. The only difference is obviously there's a difference from when you're in a relationship compared to when you're not in a relationship.
But that's very controversial because I find that you said you did Feet Finder before, right? But then now you're like completely different where you're just like doing like laundry. From the second podcast, you were like, by the way, if people are confused, she went on Dating Talk number 54 and Dating Talk number 60. So if I reference the first podcast, that is Dating Talk number 54. If it's the second one, it's number 60. Okay. So that's that. And then, yeah. So then you were saying that you did Feet Finder first. Then second podcast, you go like, I do his laundry. I cook for him. So what the fuck is going on?
So when it comes to number 54, most of the stuff that had happened that we had talked about before going on to the podcast prior to, because I did ride with Logan and Nathan to that podcast, there was a lot that we had talked about at Logan's house of what was going to go on and kind of what the scene was going to be and what they wanted me to talk about and how they wanted me to act. So when it comes to the first podcast, everything that was said was meant to make them look good as a publicity stunt to kind of help AOC. So when it came to like, oh, still hit though, and like all that stuff, like all of it is.
But it seems so genuine. There's no way like, okay, so you said all that stuff. You said it with a lot of conviction. I could tell it's true. So you're saying that shit was all a charade.
All the stuff from the first podcast was fake.
Okay, so the second podcast was more so how you truly encompass yourself.
Yeah, because when it came to AOC and everything that they were talking about in 54, it was more just like I could not see myself in a relationship with someone who thought that it was okay to be in a relationship with a woman but still be able to go out and sleep with everybody else. And so I wasn't okay with that. And after I think I went on the second podcast maybe a few months later, I was already with Nathan. Like we had been hanging out, we had been talking, we were together almost every day. So there's a difference between what Nathan would show with AOC compared to what he would show offline.
Okay, but then like the first podcast, right? When you said that he came out with his shirt naked. Fuck. We'll get into that in a little bit. I have so many videos like right here. So it's just like on my screen, you could see there's like all these tabs. I'll show you guys. It's fucking crazy. But you'll see like all of these tabs is just for this video analysis. We'll get to that. So just make sure you guys stick around for like the entire video. Yeah, so those tabs right here. Oh my God, it's fucking crazy. All right, okay. So we were talking about he came out naked, right?
Yeah.
Or with his shirt off only?
No, he was just in his boxers. And it was like 3 a.m.
Okay, so that part is true.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that was the first time you guys met ever, right?
Yeah, but we had been talking previously. So we met on the dating app on Hinge, and he had planned a date with me, but I flaked because I was at a car meet. And then I had texted him and then asked to reschedule. And I was at a car meet that night, and then he had FaceTimed me out of nowhere, but I hadn't had his number saved, so I didn't know who it was. So when I answered, it was just them, and he was like, hey, do you want to come on this podcast? And I was like, sure, why not? You know, he was like, okay, we'll just come over to the house and we'll drive you there. We'll pay for everything. I was like, okay, cool. So I had one of my friends take me. And when I got there, I'd called him. He was already asleep. So he came out. He had like no clothes on. Then we just went inside, talked. He talked to me about the podcast the next day.
And then you guys smashed.
Like 4 hours later.
4 hours. You said 1 hour later, right?
Yeah, but
so you guys were capping that time?
Yeah, like I said, most of the stuff on the first podcast was more just like, because I know when Logan came on here, he was like, oh, within 10 minutes. Like, no, okay? Me and Nathan had been texting like for a while.
See, that's the thing. Nobody knows what is true anymore. So you guys planned this. It was like a preconceived plan. Like, let's make
It was all for AOC.
But don't you think it would cancel you a little bit?
I think it did though.
Yeah, it
I mean,
canceled
why
you.
do you
So
think,
why
do
you
you
do
think
that?
the most popular clips are always of like me saying something and then Logan or Nathan coming back? Like no other clips are like, oh, this and that. Like it's always just Logan said this or Nathan said that, and then I'm just kind of in the middle. If you look at all the videos, who's the thumbnail to like 99.9% of the videos? Me.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm having a trouble believing that. I'm not saying that I don't believe you.
No,
It's
you're
just
fine.
like you said so much conviction. You said it with so much conviction on the first podcast. But then I find it mind-fucking. The second podcast you come on, you're completely different. And you're completely different right now, too.
It's crazy, huh?
It's like 3 different times you're all different. And this third time, I would say you're like more chill. Did you like smoke weed like before?
No,
this?
I don't smoke weed.
No?
It like, dude, I get so scared. But as for so for this episode right here, like I know everybody was like, oh, she changed her hair color, stopped wearing makeup. Like, first of all, I changed my hair color and I dyed it a different color. It's not even my natural hair color. The color I have now is my natural hair color. I just color my hair all the time.
Obviously, anyone with a brain could see that.
But everybody thought that it was because of Nathan. And I was like, no, I colored my hair because I wanted to color my hair. I had actually gotten a new job that required us to have natural hair colors, which is why I changed my hair color.
So why did you have red hair in the first place? Like,
well, I had never dyed my hair before, and I didn't start dyeing my hair until maybe about almost 2 years ago. And my hair was like a lighter brown, and the easiest color to dye it was red, so I colored it red. And then from there on, it kind of stuck out, and I just switched between black and red.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to this first part.
Dating opinion.
That women should teach themselves or learn to be less masculine and more feminine, and that men should be less feminine and more masculine. Such as, for example, women should focus more on family rather than work and be more family oriented, as well as taking care of their partner, like laundry, cooking, cleaning, things like that. Or at least if they do work, then staying in an environment that is more feminine than masculine, while the man provides financial support and such, and the woman.
Okay, so what's going on here? Like, did you say this with conviction? Like, are you serious about this? You're not serious, but so which one are you serious? Okay, so the first one is not serious. The second one is not serious either.
The whatever podcast is literally made up of entertainment purposes.
That's fucking bullshit. No way. I cannot believe that. Cause like, why would you destroy and tarnish your rep just for drama?
Because the thing for me is I don't really care what anybody else has to say, and people who are smart enough to know that social media is all a scam and majority of the stuff that's on social media is fake, those are the people that come to know. And that's the thing too, people that know me in real life know that I'm not like that compared to the people who see me online and are like, oh my god, but it's all for the views. Like, how many views did the first one get? Almost 4 million views, right?
Really?
And then the second one blew up too, and there were still clips of it. People still talk about the first one to me all the time. Like, I get a new job, they're like, were you on a podcast? Did you have red hair? I'm like, yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, people still talk about it to this day, and it's been almost over a year. Like, it's crazy.
So do you like the attention then? Like, because you do this for pretty much like the attention in a sense, right?
I just do it for the experience. It's fun, and I think it's funny, and I like to argue with people, so. You like to argue with people? I like the controversy.
Okay, so then if you like to argue with people, then you actually believe what you say, right? On these podcasts then?
I think when it comes to the second podcast, that it was more trolling. Because I had already gotten so much attention from the first one, right? And then the second one, I had started hanging out with Logan and Nathan more. And I met Logan's girlfriend.
How many girlfriends does he have?
He has this one girlfriend. I didn't know he had a girlfriend at all. We came to his house like after the first podcast. He's like, oh, let me call this girl over. I was like, what? And then come to find out, they'd been dating for almost 4 years. And it's like, this girl, she started talking about like, oh, you know, delete your Instagram and do this and feed your boyfriend and all that stuff. And she was just super weird. And then come to find out, like, that is like his main girlfriend. Like, if you look on his Instagram, he has a picture of a girl with a dog.
Yeah.
That's her.
Okay, Logan, we also didn't introduce, but Logan was also on the podcast. We will get to that in a bit. But before that, I do want to dive deeper into like this thing that I just showed, right? Okay, so I want to say this. Like the first time I saw the first podcast, I was like, dude, I hate this girl. I was like, this girl is
You and everyone
whack.
else, dude.
I was like, yo, like she's so masculine and she's so confrontational. I was like, what the hell is going on? Then, you know, it wasn't until yesterday I actually watched the full second podcast. But usually when I hate people, it's like I still give them a chance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just like some misclarifications online. You probably just do it for attention. You never know until you meet someone, right? So I think I'm getting much more clarity, like just meeting you right now, which is cool. And then it seems like you're being your authentic self. But yeah, I fucking hated you. I was like, who the hell is this chick? I was like,
I know.
fuck?
Everyone in the comments were like, oh my goodness, she's like the ugliest one. She's so annoying and this and that. And I was like, oh my goodness.
I'm just like trying to understand, like, how would you do that for attention? Because, or not attention, but just to have fun, because you have to face the backlash afterwards, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it started a problem. Everybody
Yeah.
was mad. Everybody had something to say. And I think that's the most like exciting part, is that these people have no idea who I am, yet like I made such an impact on everyone. Like they were like, oh my God, who is this girl? Why is she talking like this? And I just thought it was funny. And even then, when I did this podcast, the number 60, I was offline. I went off the grid. So no one even said anything to me. I was just living the same life as I was before.
Okay, cool. But you went on to say hella shit to piss off people, and then the second time you just said completely different things. So you're saying that you did it, both of them, for just controversy, pretty much? Like, let's just get some clarification on that.
Well, if you look at the audience of the first podcast and the second one, the second panel was filled with women. So
Yeah.
obviously everything that I would have said would have upset
So
women.
your point on going on these podcasts is just to go against whoever, right? So you see that it's like all women, and then you're just gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna side with men. Or it's like you see there's some men, you're gonna be like, all right, fuck you, Nathan, fuck you, Logan.
Well, that's what Brian had told me to do too before the podcast. He was like, make it controversial, be rude, like start drama. And I was like, okay, I'll try, because he wanted it to be as bad as it was the
Oh my
first
God.
time.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I did see you, like when you answered certain questions, you paused a little bit. I was like, this girl is capping. There's no way. I was like, I didn't even know which one to believe, like the first one or the second one. I was like so confused, because you did say some certain parts, the second one, with conviction, but then you also paused. And then the first one, you were going off. So I was like, okay, but she still looks really down to earth, the second one now. So I was like, what the fuck? But okay, anyways, let's get back to like talking about Nathan. Okay, so I recall you said you did feet pics, the first one. So you actually did do Feet Finder, right? Just to confirm that.
Yeah.
Okay. So some things were lies, some things were not lies. Okay.
I did not make $40,000 doing that.
Okay, so how much did you make doing that?
Like a couple $100.
Like in total?
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's another thing that was pissing me off. I was like, yo, how does this girl, she makes a lot of money. She's like way wealthier than me. And then you know my like background. You came in. And so then I'm just like, how's she like just tricking all these dudes? Like, so you understand, like men would get upset from that.
Exactly.
They would be like, okay, why is this girl using me for money and for paying on dates? Okay, by the way, do you still think that men should pay for the first date?
I think it depends.
It depends on what.
Well, Andrew Tate says that broke men shouldn't be going on dates in the first place, and that they should be paying for a first date.
Fuck that. I disagree with that. I think broke men are deserving of love. I think simps are deserving of love. Everyone
What is
should
your
be.
definition of a simp, though?
My definition of a simp
Yeah.
is like a weak man, pretty much, that worships a girl.
Do you know what the real definition of a simp is? Like, if you were to look it up, it's a dude that does anything he can to be able to have sex with a woman.
that's
Right.
kind of pretty much it, because it's like if he worships a woman, then he would keep doing whatever to get sex with that woman.
What's wrong with worshiping a woman though? Say
Worshipping,
you're a man that's really, really in love with a woman, right? And you just want to do everything you can for her.
okay, say for example, a guy, like just a person on the street, okay? Like that person just like takes a knife, stabs a person, you know? Okay, you might not get my point. Okay, someone that just stabs a person on the street, like a random person stabs another random person, and then no one says anything. That's the problem with worshiping women. They could make a man broke, and I've seen it happen. I've actually had an ex before. After dating me, she became a gold digger, and she just wanted to have guys pay for her all the time. And then after that, she made a guy have almost $0, had $20 in his bank account. After that, she fucking left him. And so I see that as like, this dude, I sympathize with these guys. I see that this guy is getting stabbed financially by this girl and no one says anything. That's fucked up. And I think the problem is people would be like, well, he should know better. But my philosophy is, think about it like this. You see like a baby on the street, you take candy away from a baby. Baby doesn't know any better. So it's like a weak man. He doesn't know any better, right? What do you have to say for that?
I mean, I honestly think that everybody's relationships work differently. I think that there's nothing wrong with men spending money on women. I've seen a lot of relationships where men feel, insecure, they feel bad, or they just feel embarrassed when a woman tries to pay for anything.
Yeah.
So
I've seen that
it
too.
turns to a point where it's like, okay, you don't want me to pay for anything, but you also don't want to pay for anything. Or there's men that want to pay for things but don't have the money, and the women want to support the man, but then it turns into a gender role thing.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that if men want to spend money, they'll spend money. I think that women who are forcing men to spend money, making it like a decision, like, oh, you spend money and I'll be with you, I think that's wrong.
I think what's more wrong is that like women deciding to give a man a chance just because he bought the first date or so. Dude, I purposely, like, I come from a background with like pretty, like comfortable, okay? And I also work pretty hard to get there. I'm not just like those Nepo babies, trust fund babies, but I purposely don't even pay for the first date because I don't want this girl to be basing it off of a financial decision. Like, oh, okay, this guy's got money. I want this girl to think that it's true love and, make it more affiliated with that, more simple, not like have this financial shit come in and be like, oh, okay, he's got money, blah, blah. So I tell even girls that I work at McDonald's. And even with that handicap.
McDonald's people make good money, okay? They get paid like $21 an hour.
Okay, well, I don't know how much they get paid now, but it's just like my way of filtering out people, because like that way I'm able to like really discern if this person really is in it for the money or is really in it for trying to find true love. And
I mean, I would use it from a different perspective. So there was a video on TikTok about this guy who took his girlfriend, or they were on a first date, and he took her to the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah,
I think Cheesecake Factory is like middle class type of like expensive, right? It's not super
It
expensive,
is.
but it's not super cheap.
Yeah.
Right? And she was so mad, even though he paid, like she was so upset. I think making the decision to pick the first date at somewhere that's a little bit more, lower class than picking higher class, higher end would really like dictate that.
Exactly.
Because, rather than being like, oh, I'm not going to pay for the first date. Like when me and Nathan first ate together, we went to Cane's. Like I love Cane's. And we went through the drive-thru, okay? We went through the drive-thru, we went to Cane's, and it was great.
So then you're normal then. You're
Yeah,
pretty much normal.
I don't think that... I think that with our age, like being in your early 20s, or maybe even if you're like 18, 19, that it shouldn't be an expectation to be like, oh, you should already have like $1 million. You should already make $100K a year, because it's really hard in this economy. And I think that
It is.
being realistic and being like, okay, this is how much you make, and building your relationship is supposed to go through life together. So with me and Nathan being married so young, there's a lot of controversy with that, because it's like, why can't you live your life? Why can't you go out and explore your options? I think it's way better to get married earlier, or at least be in relationships earlier, so that you guys can learn to become successful together. so that you can make money together, rather than expecting some dude you find on a dating app or outside and be like, I expect you to make 100K a year, and I won't be with you if you don't.
I'm very surprised these words are coming out of your mouth still. Like, still from the first podcast, I'm just like, dude, I'm still shocked about the second podcast too. I'm like, how is she saying all this? I'm very more shocked that you're saying all this right now. But yeah, I mean, that's totally normal. I feel like most girls are like that. They're like that where they don't really expect too much. And I would classify the girls where they expect a lot. Like, for example, this guy has to pay for the first date and he has to pay for all the dates and provide. I feel like they're not really factoring into like the math, and especially living in California, because living in California is expensive. And with the gender pay gap diminishing, where men and women start to have equal pay, you can't have the man provide all the time anymore. And so these guys trying to get like these traditional relationships when they can't even fucking provide themselves, I'm just like, dude, you don't even make 400K. If you make 400K, yeah, you could try to be traditional and try to provide, but you can't expect a woman to not work when you can't even fucking provide everything, you know? So
I think those relationships overall, I think the whole like red pill community, the whole like community of, I want a traditional relationship. I want a woman who doesn't work and doesn't go to school and all of this stuff. I think about it and I'm like, dude, we all live in California, right?
Yeah.
Logan, Nathan, me, Logan's girlfriend, like we all live in California. It's expensive and we're all the same age. Nathan and Logan are both in the Marines. I have military parents, so I know that when you're like an E3, E2, you don't make that much money. So to sit there and expect the girl that you're with to be like, oh, I don't want you to work, but I also can't afford to pay for everything that we do, is like, okay, well, how does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, how does that make sense? How do you want a girl to struggle with you rather than, you know, building each other up and being like, okay, you know, I understand that everything's expensive and I don't make that much, but you know, if you want to work, that's fine.
yeah.
But expecting a woman to not have a job in this economy where everything, like gas is $6, dude.
Exactly.
Like it's so expensive to go everywhere.
And not every woman can finesse a guy and just like have the guy like pay for everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you were right. Like, okay, so is that part is that part serious where you finesse guys?
It wasn't really finessing. It was more, I had a lot of guy friends before.
Uh-huh.
And some of which had feelings for me, so they would pay for things, but I wouldn't ask them to. Like they would just pay for things. Like I would talk to dudes and they would buy me like purses or something and I'd be like, okay, cool. But it wasn't like a business transaction. Like I was actually friends with these guys. Like we would go to car meets together, we would hang out all the time and they would just pay for things.
But they also wanted to have sex with you, right?
Some of them did, but some of them didn't. The most recent one that I had during the first podcast,
You know, Minecraft made
some
a
of
different
them
game.
wanted
It's
to.
called
I think
Minecraft
like 2 of them,
Dungeons.
but the rest of them were all platonic.
Sorry.
I
Okay,
have
we're gonna
no
play
idea.
this video real quick.
You guys is, have you ever gone on a date with a guy for like a foodie call? And also just your reaction to that. Do you think that's kind of like, you go girl? What do you guys think of that? Go ahead.
The
I
hell?
personally wouldn't go on a
Okay,
Gross.
let's
I hated
get,
that girl
on
so
many
much.
dates to
okay,
talk
like
about
my opinions of this girl is
Imagine
not
how
really
many dates
that
She
high.
smelled so
She's-
bad.
to save
She really
That
smelled
was
bad?
true.
which was a product.
She did.
You look so annoyed whenever she talked.
Carson, can you unmute? Okay.
Okay.
A month, sure.
I think Brian was so obsessed with her.
Oh my God, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. Congratulations. There's not a lot of dudes who are 19. You're 19, right?
All right.
Not a lot of
Basically, you said that you do this. Okay, I don't know where that part went.
Yeah,
it
I
was
said I actually
30.
do this and that I have guys that pay for my lashes and all that stuff.
30:04. Okay, this part. Let's see it. Let's just, for the people that haven't watched it, let's give them an idea.
Yeah, so I do this, but not to.
yikes. Okay. Go ahead.
I let all of them know my intentions beforehand. Guys enjoy spending money on me, and I'm not gonna say no. Everyone knows I make money from what I do, and I make a lot.
You make a
So,
lot
yeah.
from the feet stuff?
Okay, do you regret saying this? Like being so transparent with your whole audience and like 400,000 other people that watch this, because this has like 400,000 views. Okay, So, do you regret saying this? Like being so transparent?
No.
No.
I don't know why everybody makes a problem over like selling feet pictures. Like
No,
it's
no.
just your
The problem is
toes.
like letting guys pay for you,
Oh, letting guys pay for me?
and you don't even give them a chance.
No. Because like I said, I tell them, you know, like anytime I've had a guy friend that's been interested in me, you know, I let them know like, hey, I'm not interested. And we keep it as friends. And whether they have feelings for me, I can't control that. You know, I don't hang out with any guys that like me by myself. I always hang out in groups. So it was never giving them an opportunity to be with me or giving them an opportunity to think they can be with me. It was more they felt that way, and there was nothing I can do to control that.
But you still tell them that, hey, you're getting your nails done, and then this guy still ends up paying for you, right?
Yeah, then it's like whatever. If they want to pay for it, they want to pay for it. But I do regret letting that happen.
Are these guys like broke guys, or are they like pretty wealthy? Are they fat dudes? Who are they?
They're not bad.
Okay, so they're pretty good looking guys, or what?
No, they're just normal, average dudes. Like I don't think anybody's ugly or anything like that. I think everybody's born their own way. So it doesn't really matter to me. Like that doesn't dictate anything. I go based off of strictly like personality and the potential that you carry. And
Yeah.
if the potential you have is seeking like, okay, well, I want to talk to you and you're my friend and you're like, oh, I like you. But then you're also like, oh, I like this other girl and I like this girl. You think I'm going to be like, yeah, let me give you a chance? No, I'm just going to be like, hey, we should just be friends because I've seen the way that you talk about other girls. I've seen the way that you talk to your boys about other girls. So I would never put myself in that position. And that's why it's different when it comes to having guy friends because you see their true colors because you're
Okay.
homies with them.
So I'm just like, my problem with this is that like, you know that you could possibly be making a guy broke and then you still accept the money. How come you don't just Venmo back the money they give? You know, like, don't you think it's an ethical issue?
Because most of those guys have jobs. They don't pay for anything else. Most of those guys that I'm friends with live with their parents still. They're not paying any bills, you know, and it wasn't like an everyday thing. That wasn't even like, maybe that happened for like a month or two. But think about it. Like I get my nails done maybe every 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And then like lashes, I had just started getting my lashes done and maybe like $120 every 4 weeks. So I'd only been doing that for like 2 months until I stopped being friends with those people. So it wasn't as bad as I made it sound when it comes to like, oh, I only go out with guys to eat food for free and then never talk to them again. Like these dudes were my friends.
And they just wanted to do it.
They
pretty
want,
much.
yeah, I wasn't asking them to do it. They all knew like what I did on a daily basis because they would either be the ones driving me or they wanted to come with me or, you know,
Yeah.
they wanted to be a part of what I was doing.
Okay. I mean, I think the problem that I see with this is that, for example, if I were a girl, I would definitely not want to do this, you know, and that's just me because I feel like I would be harming someone's life. You said that they work, they have their own job, they don't have bills to pay. That's fine, but I still feel like I'm tricking someone and deceiving someone and making them lose out on potential financially. Logan also said that, yeah, if we were girls, we would do that too. If we were getting like offered free shit from women, we would do that. But Logan, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, I disagree with you, man. I mean, I feel like it should not be allowed. It should be a little bit outlawed to accept free shit because you're hurting someone, even though they want to, but they don't know any better. If you actually really cared about, you said these guys are your friends, right? Yeah. If they're your friends, you would actually want them to invest that money into real estate. Like you're doing real estate, you know that investment properties could make more. Once they make all that money, then you guys could celebrate, you know? But then right now you're just making them broke. Then, you know, I mean, not like broke, but they're losing out on opportunities because they don't have that much extra. And how much do you think a guy, a cumulative amount, he spent on you the whole lifetime?
Like men in general?
Yeah, like think of like the guy who's spent the most amount of money overall.
Maybe like $500.
$500? Okay, so that's
Yeah.
not that bad.
Like I'm telling you, it's not as crazy as I made it sound on there. Like it wasn't me asking for a handout. Like anytime someone wanted to pay for something that I knew I had the money for, like I'd be like, okay, no, I'll pay for it. And then like it would be like trading off too. Like say they came with me to get my nails done and they paid for it. Okay, well if we go out to eat with our friends later, like I'll pay. Or if we go get boba later, like I'll pay. Like it wasn't just one-sided. Like even if they were the ones driving me, I'd be like, okay, let me throw you like $20 for gas. because during that time I was younger, and I do understand where you're coming from, where it's like, you know, these dudes could be spending money elsewhere. To an extent, I spent money too, and it was never one-sided.
Okay, let's get back on the topic of, let's see my notes here. Okay, Nathan. All right, so the juicy part that I wanted to talk about was you and Nathan. So you guys were just hooking up at first for the first podcast, then the second one, you guys were pretty much together. So can you confirm or deny that real quick? Is that true?
I guess. Well, okay, like I said, we had already been talking and flirting with each other prior to the podcast.
Any podcast?
Like prior to any podcast.
Okay.
So
okay.
we had already planned a date. We had already planned on going out. And then I just decided to be a part of the podcast. That night, actually, after the first podcast, I went to his house because I'd gotten dropped off. So he was going to take me home. So I went to work with him. And from that day, like, we were together all the time.
Okay. So you did mention that you stopped doing feet pics on the second podcast. I feel like they didn't dive too much into it. So was it because of Nathan that you wanted to stop doing it? Was it like you wanted to be a better person? Like you wanted to improve you?
No, I only did it because I saw it on TikTok. I just wanted to try it out and see if it actually worked.
Oh, okay. So on the second podcast, you kind of made it sound a little bit like you wanted to be a better person because of him. But it was just more so you just did it a little bit, but you wanted to exaggerate as if like you do it for fucking because you're promiscuous, right? You wanted to give this promiscuous outlook or look.
I guess.
Fucking
what everybody has their own definition of things. Everybody sees me on the first podcast, it's like, oh, she's a hoe and she's ran through and she does this, and then the second podcast comes and it's like, oh, she had sex with Nathan and now she wants to change and do this. Yeah. Like I said, like I've been the same person since before any podcast. I've had the same outlooks, I've had the same personality, I've had the same mindset. It's
so controversial because I was even mindfucked too. I was preparing all these notes and I was just like, the first podcast, I was like, oh, dude, I'm going to roast this fucking bitch when she comes on the podcast. I'm like, all right, she's dead, bro. Then I start watching the second one. I was like,
he's like, wait, actually, never mind. I can't.
The fuck? All my notes that I took for 2 hours. Well, I play in 2x speed, so it's actually realistically 2 hours. But the full podcast is like usually his podcasts are 4 hours. The first one was
like 4 hours, yeah.
Yeah, but I play in 2x speed. I'm like, fuck, all my notes. Like, what do I talk about now? So, yeah, but then second podcast, I was like, what the hell? I can't tell if she's capping or not. Then now here, I'm like, as I've said many times, I think I've just belabored the point.
That's why I told you I was doing research because I was in my head. I was like, dang, what is he going to ask? Because there's so many different, there's so many different sentences, so many different things happening.
Yeah. Did you think I was going to kind of have this, what is that called? Do a hit piece on you?
No.
No? You thought I was, what did you think of us? Controvert podcast. Were you like, okay, they're down to earth?
I was interested mostly because of your guys' name. Like, I love controversy. I love like making a point and I love debating about certain things, and I'm very open-minded. Like that's why it's so different, because I can see things from a man's point of view, a woman's point of view, and then in the middle.
Okay.
So when I saw you guys, I was like, dang, you know what they're talking. I think I saw you guys because of Logan. Like it came up and then I was like, oh my god, that's me. Like what are you guys talking about? And so I was watching it and I was like, oh my goodness.
Okay.
Like, dude, there's no way. And then I watched some of your other videos and I was like, okay, you guys talk about things that are actually like considered controversial, so that makes sense.
Yeah, we always try to see it from like a man's point of view and a woman's point of view. I mean, you know, we do believe in some red pill ideologies, but it is also that these red pill males, they're capping, bro. They're saying all this shit like, oh yeah, women should be the caregiver. I'm like, what the fuck? How much do you even make? You're not even working,
if you look
bro.
At these people, how many of these people are married? Like Pearl. Like she's not married, okay? And then what's his name off of the one in Miami?
Fresh and Fit?
Yeah, he's not married either. Like these guys are not in relationships. They're not married. Like yeah, okay, they go online and they talk shit and they make money for it. Okay, cool. But what are you doing? Like you can't even find a woman, and then their excuse is, "Oh, it's because, you know, it's so hard to find a woman like that." But what nobody realizes is the reality of certain relationships is this. you guys have to build each other.
Yeah.
And you have to grow together to make the person who you want them to be.
Yeah.
You know, like Nathan was this misogynistic, you know, this asshole, like who thought he should fuck all these girls before I met him.
Okay.
And when I met him, you know, I was like, listen, you do have the potential and you have a lot of opportunities going for you and you can be something big. But Logan was holding him down to a point of like everything that Nathan did was because Logan said. It wasn't like Nathan thinking for himself.
We'll get into that whole Logan Nate thing in a bit. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Okay, I did want to say that. Man, I totally lost my track. Fuck. All right. Yeah, so I did want to say that the whole fresh and fit and whatever, sometimes it could be a little bit red pill. And the point of this podcast, Controvert, is that we see it from two different sides, like the man's point of view and the woman's point of view. And so I think these people, they want to be polarizing fresh and fit and whatever because it gets views. Like when people see that you're so polarizing and extreme, they're just like, oh, fuck. Like, this is crazy. This is dramatic. But normal people actually don't believe like that. Like a lot of my friends, they actually would want a girl that makes her own money. And I'm not talking about broke people. Like some viewers, we have had viewers comment, oh, you're just broke. That's why you want a girl to make money. So you want her to work, caregive, and be loving to you? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Dude, look at the economy. How can you do the math and try to understand if you could actually have a guy take care of you, provide all this shit for you, and you just act loving? No, you have to do all of these. And not just the woman has to do it, the man has to do it too. Like every time I'm in a relationship, I'm loving and I provide, you know, like usually I provide more. Okay. I don't just provide everything because if she's not my wife yet, I don't see the capacity for me to like give more. It's only like I'll give way more until she becomes my wife. But I think you think different on that, right?
I think when it comes to being in a relationship with someone, dating wise, I think boyfriend and girlfriend is meant for you guys to work out your differences. I think it's better for you guys to bring to the table what you would have to offer in a marriage. Like if I'm with Nathan and he's not doing anything, you know, he's not working as hard or he's not, you know, bringing a lot to the table, not helping with laundry and stuff, how am I supposed to know that when we get married and we have kids that he's going to be there?
Yes.
That he's going to help with the children, you know? I think that you should love people the same way you would if you were to get married to them. Because that's the whole goal, right? When you're dating, it's to eventually get married.
Okay, so say for example, when did you and Nathan get together?
February 12th.
Like how long until like after you guys met? That
2
you guys
weeks.
2 weeks?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so say for example, within 2 weeks of you meeting him and getting together, so he's just all of a sudden supposed to start providing everything for you.
No.
And you move in.
But it doesn't
that's
it
what I'm
doesn't
trying
necessarily have to be until we get married.
Yeah.
Like it's over time. Like there's
Yeah.
certain stages to a relationship, right? So everybody
Exactly.
says like 3 months are honeymoon phases.
Correct.
Me and Nathan didn't really have that because everything was so forced onto us, you know, with the podcast and Logan and AOC that it kind of turned into like, okay, well, now we're kind of just getting to know each other. So we had those deep talks and everything. And I did move in like pretty soon, but that's because he went on a 6-month deployment. So I took care of everything at the house while he was gone.
That's my point. I think it's like a progress.
Yeah.
Because a relationship, you don't automatically, once you're boyfriend and girlfriend, you don't start paying for everything. You don't start living together. So you progress. And then once you start progressing towards the end of the boyfriend girlfriend stage, you start to provide more as fiance, right? Fiance, right? I don't know
Do
how
you
say
think it takes until you guys are engaged for you to start providing even more? Or like, because some people date for like 4 years before they decide to get married.
It's kind of like a game. It's like you're level 1. That's when you first meet each other. Level 10 is like when you guys start dating. And then level 30 is when you start getting better armor and then you could do more with the weapons. All right, I don't know where I'm getting with this, but okay. So it's just, so you have more opportunity as you level up. And the end game, once you get like level 100, that's when you guys get married, right? So then that's when you start providing the most. That's when you can decide, okay, I want to spend my entire life with this person. But I think if you give way too much early stages of a relationship, you're gonna sacrifice too much for something that might not even proceed or transcend to something better, you know? So I think that it's essential just to protect yourself to give a little bit more and more, not all at once, because I've seen men go broke, and I really care about my fellow men. Not me, I didn't go broke from that, because I'm just like, why would I give my all and be broke and then lose out on like these opportunities?
I think of it as like taking a test, right? If you only like, say you have like 100-question test, right? And you're studying. If you only study 25% of that book, you're only going to pass. Your chances of passing are like way lower. If I
see.
choose
Yeah,
to study 100%, then I'm going to have a higher chance of passing the test, right?
That makes sense. But then you start to think about, is this class even worth it? Like, what is it going to provide me in the future? Like, is it going to give me a job after?
But that's why I said, like, the whole point of being in a relationship is to one day hope to get married. You'll never, like, say that you only put 25% into this relationship, right? And you guys have been dating for 4 years, and the whole time, the highest you went up to was 50%. Now this person thinks that the only thing you're capable of is giving 50%. Do you think they really want to marry you if the only thing you've shown them is 50% of your effort? Because if I had someone who was with me and they were giving me 100% effort all the time as best as they could, of course I'd sit there and I'd be like, you know what? I've been dating this person for a while. I think I really do want to marry them. Because and as a guy and a woman, like me being a woman, if I gave Nathan 25% all the time, he'd be like, dude, there's better women out here.
Well, okay, I would say it like this. I think it would be really stupid to give a guy 100% like right off the bat, like once you guys get together. I'm not saying right off the bat once you guys meet, but right off the bat when you guys get together.
How long do you think it takes somebody to get married?
Okay, 100% in my eyes is like you sacrifice your job, you sacrifice your school, you just like quit your job and your school for this guy. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's 100%. That's not like you're you're not gonna give 100% unless you quit and take out all these things in your life. Mm-hmm. You know, so I don't
I did
actually,
that though.
But you guys are married now.
Exactly. Because I did all of those things that led up to now. What did I do? I moved in. I took care of his house for 6 months while he was gone. I did the laundry. I brought him lunch 2 hours from San Diego to, you know, LA. Like I did all of those things, and it made him want to be a better person. So in exchange, he wanted to do better, and he changed for the better. And I changed for the better, and now we're married. That's
a really good point. I find that very interesting. But my question is, if this guy has bad intentions, how do you know you could trust this guy? Because some girls, they actually are not able to discern if this guy's just fucking playing them. And you know how, like, I'm sure you're aware, guys put girls in like the just fucking category versus like just like I would date this girl. Mm-hmm. What if a guy is so manipulative to a point where he makes it seem like, oh, I'll date you in the future, but he's just putting her in the fucking category, and she sacrifices all of this shit for him? So that's the thing I have, and I want to say to women to protect yourself. I mean, don't be a dick and don't be like, yo, I can't trust you, I'm not going to give you shit. But, you know, give your all for the certain times that are appropriate. Well, you have to make sure, you know, it's equal on both sides. If I'm giving up everything and Nathan was giving up nothing, I would sit there and think, like, this dude doesn't really see anything in me. Because that's what I thought it was when I first met him. At first, before we had ever talked in person, I had this idea of this dude just wants to fuck. This dude only wants that. And I had no idea that we were going to one day be married. Mm-hmm. And it took for us to start hanging out and for him to sacrifice things and me to sacrifice things to truly show each other that we were serious about each other. Okay. I will talk a little bit more about that whole Nathan thing and what he gave up. So make sure you guys stick around for more. But I recall you also did say that you would fuck Logan on the first podcast. So I want to ask, like, would you still fuck Logan?
No. I don't know. Like, okay, this isn't like a racist thing, okay? But my type is Asian man, okay? I don't think Logan looks Asian whatsoever. And I had already had a conversation with Logan at his house before we came on the podcast. And everything that he was saying was like, okay, cool. But Logan was not my type and is not and will never be my type.
Then why did you say that on the podcast? Just to be controversial?
Everything was a scam. It's all a scam. Why do you think? Because everybody, like, look at the way Logan came on here. He's like, yeah, she wanted to fuck me. Like, that one girl that was on the first podcast, and he's like, yeah, she hit me up and she actually just wanted to fuck.
Then
No,
do
she
you
didn't. I was there. Like,
then
she
do you
didn't ask to
regret
fuck.
doing that? Like, just make it all like a publicity stunt?
I regret making it a publicity stunt for the wrong people.
Yeah, I mean, like, then you
Because-
give like this really alpha guy to say all these things and be like very prideful, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think at that point, because I barely knew Logan, like, I see the best in everybody when I first meet them.
Yeah.
So, like, I think everybody has good intentions until they show me otherwise. So, of course, when I first did it, I was like, okay, cool. But then after, it turned into like a whole nother thing. And then Logan took that and he ran with it. And he still runs with
shit.
it to this day. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, that was like a year ago. Like, can you
Okay.
move on to something else? You know? But no, I would never fuck Logan ever.
Okay.
I don't want to be with him. I don't see myself doing anything with him ever.
I would probably want to confirm this with Logan, but so Logan, if you're watching this, and if viewers are watching this and you know Logan, and you guys want to see him on the podcast again as a response to this, let us know in the comments. But okay, going back to the Asian men thing and him being looking Asian, okay, you don't think he looks Asian, but why do
No.
you like Asian men though? Like, what's attract? Because I don't really come a lot. You're Hispanic,
I'm Mexican.
okay? I don't really come across a lot of Mexican girls that like Asian men. So what makes you like Asian men? What is it about them?
I
that you
think
like?
it's more just a lot of Asian people come from a more respectable background, like compared to, because I was in a 4-year relationship with a guy who was Mexican and Puerto Rican,
Mm-hmm.
and I look for the more like respectful young men type of thing.
It's
And
not a look thing.
no,
Physique? No.
no, I mean, I like the way Nathan's face is. He looks pretty Asian, right? But I've met his family, and you know, they're very family oriented. All Asian people have like huge families, right? They're all family oriented. They have all these traditions.
I think Mexicans are more, actually. I feel like it's a stronger unit between Mexican families.
I think it's Mexican and Asian people though. I think those are the two races that are like more family oriented than, you know, than like white people. Like, yeah, white people hang out, but they don't have like these huge families. They're not super, you know, loving and caring. They're kind of just like whatever. But when it came to like Asian guys that I would talk to, that I was friends with, most of them, like, they're all loyal to each other. They all care about each other. They're more, you know, like, what is it called?
Wait, okay, sorry to cut you off, but you said you like the way Nathan looks because he looks very Asian, right? So what if I look like this?
That's so
I mean, is it racist if I'm talking about my own kind? I mean,
I never
it's-
said
it's
like
just a
his
joke.
eyes. Nathan has really good bone structure in his face. Like, I don't know if you've seen his jawline or like his cheekbones, but they're like super like prominent, and I think that's really good. Most Asian people are super smart too.
Wait, let me see my cheekbones. What about my cheekbones? What do you guys think about my cheekbones?
He's got like a super small nose.
So is his more sharp than mine?
Yeah,
Oh shit, okay. Can't compare.
he's super like strong looking too. I know you've seen his Instagram. Like,
Yeah, I've
he
seen
goes
it.
to the gym like a lot.
Yeah, okay, for sure. All right, that's that with the Asian men thing. But in terms of Asian men and Hispanic men, which one do you think would look like? What looks better to you? Just looks wise, because you said that you go for Asian men because they're more loving, right?
Yeah. I would say, well, Nathan's Asian, so my husband, the way he looks.
But averagely speaking.
I mean, averagely speaking, I think they both have different features, but they're both, you know, very handsome. There's a lot of handsome men on both sides.
Okay, interesting. So many women just like that are non-Asian just go like, oh, he looks too chinky, or he looks too Asian, and then they make it sound like it's.
I
a
don't even know what
derogatory
that
term.
means. What does it mean to look too Asian?
I mean, what I did earlier.
That's so bad. Some like Asian girls, they look like, people think Asian girls look Mexican.
Dude, now you're making me a little bit regretful of doing that. Like,
Yeah, why would
I'm
you
gonna
do
get
that?
canceled for that shit, dude. Holy fuck. Oh my
That's so
god.
bad.
Okay. All right. So next question is that I find it hard to believe that you guys are 19 and just married, or you're 20 now, right?
Yeah, we're about to be 21.
The time of the podcast, the whatever podcast, you were 19. Now you're 20, and I feel like not a lot of people get married at the age of 20. Like, it's very rare. I think what is actually instituted is something deeper. I think it's because you guys had this solidarity where you guys went through something together. And I think that really bonds people. For example, like fraternity, right? Pledge bros, they get pledged. That's why they like have a stronger bond together. So I think because you guys went through something very excruciating, you guys are like, okay, let's get married. And I feel like that is because of the podcast, whatever podcast. Do you think that played a big ass role with you guys getting married? Like it really pushed you guys?
No.
No?
No.
Damn. I mean, I was just going to title the video, They Got Married Because of the Podcast, but now I got to think of a different title.
Yeah, dude, you can't get me, dude. You can't get me. I told you. I learned from the first time.
Can you just say it so I can title that?
No.
I'm still going to title that shit. Like, they got married for the podcast.
We're just going to clickbait everyone.
I'm going to clickbait everyone.
Everyone's going to be like, what? They got married because of what?
They got married because of the whatever podcast. I'm going to put that, but for clarification, they did not get married for the podcast.
I'm smarter than that now.
Oh, you're smart.
I learned, okay?
But I thought you still like to argue and be controversial.
I do.
All right. So you guys didn't get married for the podcast. So what happened? Like, what really propelled you guys to get married?
Well, he's in the military. That takes a lot, you know? And me coming from a background where my parents are in the military, I know that it takes a lot. You know, with him being gone for 6 months, loyalty was like that was the biggest test for us, because it happened like 3 months after the podcast where he was gone for 6 months. And it took a lot on both ends to trust each other, to, you know, make sure that we were being loyal to one another.
Yeah.
And that was a huge test. And that really did it for us, I think. And then also there was some more personal stuff with my family between him and them that he really had to work through, that kind of showed me that, you know, he's willing to change and be better, as well as, you know, me getting to learn a bit more about him and what he wants, and just basically building our own empire together and being more successful, wanting each other to do better.
Basically being normal and all this shit.
Yeah, basically.
Like, to me, it sounded like you were dick-natized. Like, you got a dick.
Why did you say it like that?
Okay, because I say it like that because Logan said you're dick-natized. He didn't.
I know how he said like it, that, okay? But I know what he meant.
This chick got dick-natized. I saw that he said dick, but he said it quick. But I'm purposely saying dick-natized to capitalize on that. But okay, so he said you got dick-natized. And then that's why I had the impression that you were this divine being. You found God through Nathan because of the podcast. And you came to awakening, like nirvana. Oh, shit. So it's not because of that.
I believed in God before I met Nathan. Okay.
I mean, I thought he was your God at that point.
No. Okay. That's not what happened. I don't know why everybody thinks that, but no.
Okay, well, let's get to that video of like where he said you were dignitized. But before we get to that video, I want to show you guys who the hell Logan is. So you guys probably have seen this. We discussed this many times. If you guys are watching this podcast, you guys are here because you guys probably watched this podcast before. So this is Logan.
Okay for you to go sleep around with everyone else.
Because it's harder for me.
If I came up to you and told you, hey, I got like 40 to 50 bodies, you'd be like, hell no, she's ran through. But you're just as ran through.
No, he's not ran through. He's the one running through.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, that guy was Logan, the one that said he's the one running through. And what do you think about this ending scene?
Okay, first of all, that's not why I did that. That was clipped together.
I'm aware of that.
I said that. I did that whenever he was talking about it's about who wants to marry you. That's when I made that face, not because
I know.
That, right?
I mean, it's internet, you know? I could tell that too because I watched the whole thing.
Wait.
Yeah, okay, so that's Logan, and then this dignitized thing right here. Oh man, who's this handsome fella right here? Whoa, dang. Okay, this studio looks also a little bit familiar. All right,
After this podcast, after she revealed like she got fucked by my brother in 10 minutes, all the simps on her phone started blowing up her phone, texting her, calling her, like, and these simps are just exposing themselves, bro. Now she comes on the podcast a week later after my brother's fucking dignitized into being a normal girl. She goes on the podcast and she's actually debating all these chicks.
Even if we were dating, he would be allowed to do those things.
Be allowed to sleep with other people?
Yes.
Yeah, you paused right there. That's why I was like, is this girl capping? Okay, so that's the part where I was confused.
I don't know if you can tell on her shoulder, but she has my brother's name tatted on her shoulder a week later.
Fuck no. Okay, is that true?
Oh shit. But it wasn't. It
Wait,
wasn't
can-
a week later.
Can you
it wasn't
show
a
the
week
fucking?
later.
I want to see it. I want to see that shit.
It's his signature, but it's not like.
No way. Okay, so that shows Nate.
That wasn't 2 weeks after though. That was after the deployment. So that was like 8 months later.
Okay, that's his signature. It's written out Nate.
Yeah, and then he's getting mine too.
Okay, so fucking this is overwhelming, but I just the dignitized thing, you're not dignitized. I just have to say about that, right? That's it. That's it with that. Holy shit. Okay. Wow. I thought Logan was capping on that. I thought he was just saying that you got the signature, I mean the name tatted, but it's actually not. But okay. Yeah. It's awkward.
Well,
All right.
it's fake. I'm just kidding. I drew it on there.
Okay, well, enough of that, and then let's go back to some of the things you said in the second podcast.
With the guy that I'm with now, if he was like, hey, I don't like them, then yeah. I mean, like I said, his dad did my nails.
Okay. Is
So,
that
so
because-
if he didn't like it, then
Is that because you value his opinion?
it's because we have a very good understanding with each other, and I do value his opinion because I am a representation of him.
That was deep. So you believe that still to this day?
No.
No?
Why do you think I paused? I was trying to figure out what the fuck to say.
Wait, what? Wait, what? What do you mean? Wait, so you said that you're a representation of him.
I think we're a representation of our relationship and of each other.
Yeah.
I don't think it's one-sided.
Then why did you say that here? Is just for the stunt publicity?
The whole point of that video was to be like, oh my god, like I'm such a woman and this and that, and
Dude, okay. All
Like-
my notes are just gone to shit now, dude. You just totally fucked with us, man. You inception this crap already.
you and the whole internet.
Yo, you got us. Okay. I don't know if you're capping now, but I hope you're capping,
No,
but
I'm not
you
capping.
seem like very chill, so I will believe that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I have no reason to cap anymore. Me and Nathan are married, and AOC isn't a thing, and I have no reason to publicity stunt anybody.
AOC is not a thing. Okay, we'll get into that in a bit. Okay, so you went from degrading him, like you guys are married now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you went from degrading him in the first podcast, saying his sex was not good, and then now you guys are together, you're married. So, like, do you still degrade him as a wife, or you're very respectful?
No, we have like I said on there, we have a good understanding of each other. We have problems just like everyone else in a relationship, obviously.
Yeah.
We're working through our problems, and I'm not gonna come on here and be like, oh, our relationship's so perfect and this and that. We love each other very much, and we're still growing. We're only 20 years old. We still have a lot to learn, a lot to go through, but we don't disrespect each other whatsoever. We talk things out. Sometimes we'll have an argument here or there, but we always make sure we come to a good understanding at the end, because that's the only way it'll work.
Okay, cool. Let's get into this next video. Before, what the hell?
I feel like I'm talking really loud.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I not? Can you barely hear me? Off the mic? No, you can hear
It's
me.
very calm. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just the things you're saying. Maybe that's why it doesn't seem that aggressive. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into this next
I'll
video.
try to be more aggressive.
Did it matter about marriage?
Wait, how old
when
are you?
you
I'm
get
sorry.
married with someone, do you automatically flip a switch and you're like, all right, now I'm gonna start doing things that I should
Well,
be
no,
doing
but
in
how long have
marriage?
you guys been together-ish? How long have you guys been in
We've
the
been talking
situation?
for like 3 or 4 weeks, I think.
I cannot. I don't judge you for it, but I
hate that
feel
girl.
like that's a really
Really?
weird situation.
Yeah.
Like from an outsider's perspective.
Have you seen this TikTok video? And it's been viral all the time. How the guys know
okay.
in 10 seconds.
Okay, so I think what you're trying to say here is it's about self-improvement, because it's about being the best version of yourself and treating that person with respect, and then you can get a quality man, right? That's what you're trying to say here.
I think at that point, I was kind of just saying that you have to hold yourself up to a certain standard, right?
Correct.
Like you said, yeah, having respect for yourself, holding yourself at a higher standard. I'm not gonna start dating Nathan and all of a sudden, start not taking care of myself, not doing normal things that I would normally do. You know, I have certain respect for myself. So, of course, you know, he needs help with laundry, I'll help him with laundry. It doesn't matter how long we've been talking, how long we've been dating. I'm not going to all of a sudden stop being and doing the things that I was doing before just because I have a boyfriend.
Correct. Okay. So you do believe that part?
Yeah.
Okay. It's so mind fucking. Like, which ones to believe and which ones not to believe? Like, why can't you just be completely serious in one and then the other one is just completely troll? Like, which one?
That podcast is a joke.
Which one is more of a troll then? The first one or the second podcast?
I think for women viewers, this one is more of a troll, and for men viewers, the first one's more of a troll. Because the first one made a lot of men upset, and this one made a lot of women upset.
Okay, and then this one on Controvert podcast is gonna be
this one's for everybody. Balanced.
This is for everyone. Okay,
everybody.
Cool. Okay, you're not pissing me off today. I think you're doing a very good job. We could be friends after this. We could hang out, me, you, Nathan, all that stuff. No worries. All right, let's just get into the next video too. Oh shit, what's this one? Check that.
I'm curious though too, like, I'm gonna be honest, it sounds like you've kind of been groomed to believe this double standard, quote unquote, situationship relationship is okay, and I guess if you're okay with it, but it sounds like you have been manipulated into believing these things, which, yeah, it's, I guess, free will, but, you know.
Okay, I just have a comment for this. I actually don't think that you're being manipulated, because I think a lot of people, they have like different definitions of how they want their relationship to be. I feel like you guys more so have a traditional relationship, you would say, or is it more modern?
To an extent. I think it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Okay, so I mean, just by how you're describing, you have a job. I mean, you're gonna go for like real estate. I feel like that's very normal. That's not very traditional. More so traditional is you're just staying at home. You're stay-at-home mom. So I think you're very normal and balanced just by what you're telling me. I don't know if you're capping on this podcast,
no,
but
I swear.
okay, everything you're saying now is 100%.
I can show you my certificate. It's okay. It's real. It's real.
I have one too, so we can talk about that. We could be like real estate buddies. But then, yeah, I feel like it's very like, this is what a lot of people think. Like how we think, how men and women operate on a normal basis is that men and women both work. But I feel like sometimes, like, for example, these girls on the podcast, they would be like, well, I have to work and I have to be loving to you. No, I think like if you want to be loving, you just because you love that person. It's not like transactional, you know? And you work because you want to make it like a partnership. You want to make it equal. So if you don't want to make it equal and you want this guy to have leverage over you, then don't fucking work and then let him pay the bills. Then he could say whatever he wants and control you pretty much. Because that's what it is. If you have no money and you don't make your own shit, then a man has complete control over you pretty much. He can, because you're gonna have to rely on his finances so much. So if you piss him off, he won't give you that money. You can't buy the bag and all that stuff. So
that's the whole problem with these days, like with things these days too, is men come on here or any podcast and they're like, I want a woman who does this and I want a woman who does that. And they see it more as an ownership over a partnership.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
And they come on here and they're like, I want my woman to, you know, listen to me and wear what I want her to wear. And
that's not how it
want,
is. And I have a lot of different friends. I'm part of like a lot of different friend groups, like nerds. I'm an engineer, so I have like engineer friend groups. I have like fuckboy friend groups. I was in like a frat, so I have a frat friend group. I have so many different kinds of friends. None of them are like these red pill dudes online. I feel like the online presence is completely different from what is actually tried and true.
Everybody wants to make it like the 1900s, where women didn't go to school and they were uneducated and they didn't have any access to the outside world or to work. And obviously women were unhappy with that. And that's why we are where we are now, because they wanted it to be equal. And I don't know why everybody's trying to make it back to how it was before.
Yeah.
You know, it's a partnership, not an ownership.
Yeah, honestly, for me, right, I feel like some guys, what I'm about to say, it might piss them off, because I do have a couple friends where they want that traditional relationship. So I know there's also going to be guys online that still want that too. But I think it's much better that we're all equal and then it's like there's partnership. Because if the man is providing so much, some women, they could be stay-at-home wives and not do shit.
Yeah.
She's not held to a certain standard at that point. So I think it's like, I don't want to be someone's slave, like a financial slave. I want to see you work hard too. You know, I feel like if you have it easy, then yeah, you will be more feminine, but there's also a chance you will be a fucking huge ass slacker. And I don't like slackers. I think Logan obviously would fucking rip me apart on this. Again, Logan, bro, if you want to debate with me, let's go.
Women. You know, it's most of the time nail salons or hair salons are ran by women. You're surrounded by other women and feminine energy. So when you are a CEO or a boss of a company, you hold all of these masculine traits because you are a leader, and the job of a man is to, you know, be the leader, be a problem solver. Girls go based off of emotions, while guys go based off of solving problems and, you know, working things out.
Okay.
God, she's so annoying.
Ooh, wait, just
me.
You were talking, bro.
Christ.
Wait, okay, so you were not capping here, right? You believe this?
No.
You believe this?
No.
No? What the fuck? There's no way you don't believe this. You said that with so much conviction. That's bullshit, dude. You serious?
I'm so serious.
Okay, well, you sound exactly like Logan.
Exactly. I wonder why.
Not even Nate.
I wonder why.
You sound like Logan.
Because Logan at that point
He
tried to think for both of us.
So he programmed you that time.
He didn't program me to do anything. It was more of, they would only allow me to go on that podcast if I didn't make them look bad. Right? It was all, oh, she can't say this because if she says this, then, you know, it's going to make us look bad.
We're going to have Logan confirm this. Okay. So, I'll have to talk to Logan about this and then we'll see what's up. But okay, so you don't like Logan. All right. Let's just get to the fucking main point. No. You don't like Logan, okay?
Nope.
So what happened with you and Logan? Why do you not like him?
I don't like Logan because of our second interaction when I found out he actually did have a girlfriend. And, you know, I found out that he was having this girl going on dating apps to find other girls for him to have sex with. I found out that, you know, everything that had happened between Alpha's Only Club, because if you really looked at it back then, when did you ever see like Nathan having a say on anything? Like, it was supposed to be a brotherhood, right? Like, they were supposed to be the two that have had this for 7 years. They created it together. But it mostly came out to everything that Logan was saying and Nathan just being like the face, right? Nathan just making the fitness workouts, but not actually having an opinion on anything that happened in AOC.
Okay, AOC, can you explain that?
Alpha's Only Club is this group or this Instagram page where they basically just talk about how all women are hoes and nobody should be in a serious relationship. I think the one part of that group that I can actually say is like, okay, that's cool, is kind of building men up and teaching men, you know, to start working harder and, you know, getting a job. Kind of just, you know, depending on each other. It kind of opens it up a little bit to, you know, focusing on men's problems and that they also have, you know, emotional problems as well. But everything else outside of that, where, you know, you'll see some of the screenshots of guys talking about like, oh, I followed you and now I'm fucking all these bitches. Oh, now I'm following you and now I talk to all these hoes and I fuck so many girls. And
so because they fuck a lot of girls, they're misogynist?
I think the misogyny part is mostly them talking about all women are hoes. Women shouldn't be working. Women shouldn't be going to school. A woman should literally bow down to you and not have any masculine traits whatsoever.
Because of that, they're misogynist because they don't want women to work.
Because they don't think that women should have freedom to express themselves or, you know, be independent or, you know, actually learn things on their own. So the same thing is what we were talking about when it comes to, you know, we think it should be okay for me to have a job, right? Because in this economy,
yes,
everything's so expensive.
Correct.
The relationship should be partnerships and it shouldn't be...
I don't agree that that's because like they want that and then because they have those standards for a woman to not work. I don't think because they prefer a woman to do that makes them misogynist. I feel like a misogynist is like, she's a hoe, like all women are hoes. So I think you're partially right. But to say that a man is misogynist because he has this preference of not wanting women to work, I think that's a little bit of a cap, because that's a little bit extra. Like, misogynist is hating a woman.
Yeah.
So if you
the
don't want
hatred towards women.
yeah, so if you don't want women to work, it's just because you want a feminine woman. It's not because you hate women.
But
right?
what makes them think that because she works, she's not feminine? Like, here's the thing, right? So we dress one way. Like, say I work at fucking McDonald's, right? I wear a uniform. Obviously, I don't
I
look
think,
like a woman, and then I come home
Yeah.
and now I can dress like a woman. I can do
what,
my hair.
What they're saying is there's a higher chance of being masculine. And Logan has said this on my podcast before. He said that it's possible for women to work and be feminine, because I had this talk with him. I was like saying, my mom, she works, she cooks and cleans, and she's able to take care of 3 boys. And he's like, yeah, it's possible for women to do that. And I don't think it's a misogynist thing for them to have those standards. I think it's just their preference. You know, I don't have those same preferences. I want my women to work and also have like a balance, but it's like me asking for a woman to be feminine just because she works. I don't think that's a huge ask.
But are you gonna go out and tell your guy friends, like, hey, you're with a girl who works and a girl that goes to school? Like, she's not gonna listen to you. She's not gonna respect you. Like, you shouldn't be with her. Like, are you gonna go out and tell your friends that? Or are you gonna say, hey, like, no, if you prefer that, you prefer that, right?
Most of my friends prefer girls that work.
Exactly.
And have
but
aspirations.
his whole motto of like telling guys is like, you know, you shouldn't be with a woman who does that because she's going to be masculine, because she's not going to respect you. She's not going to listen to your word because she's so caught up in this job and she works for another man, and you shouldn't want that, you know? And then I don't want young men thinking that they have to listen to this one person and think that that's the view of the world, right?
Of course.
I think my problem mostly with AOC was mostly just because, like, Nathan didn't have a fair chance the same way Logan did. Everything that was said on there was mostly Logan. If you look at all the videos back to, you know,
he barely
talked.
Said like 2 sentences.
Exactly.
And showed off his body.
Exactly, right? Like, he wasn't even, you know, he had no chance to have an opinion. Everything that was said or that came from Nathan came from Logan first, you know, and there was a lot going on when I would be with Nathan and Logan would call him on the phone and they'd be on speaker and he'd be like, hey, dude, like, I know you're with Aniya, but like, I'm hanging out with this girl and she brought her whole friend group of girls. Like, do you want to come? And it would be blatant disrespect towards our relationship. Yeah. And, you know, I think that with being friends for 7 years, that if that's your friend and that's who he chooses to be with, that there should be a mutual respect. Like, he never forced me to be around Logan. He never forced Logan to be around me. We were completely separate. And I think that was completely fine. But I think ending their friendship and making them choose, like, you either choose AOC or you choose her. You know, it had already almost been like almost a year that we had been together, and he was telling Nathan to choose. And Nathan felt there was more value in me than there was in AOC, because when it came to AOC, everything that was said, everything that was posted was because Logan said, Nathan, you need to do this. Like, when it came to posting me on his Instagram.
But was Nathan doing the work, though? That's why he got kicked out of AOC?
Nathan was doing everything that he was supposed to. He was still posting videos when he was supposed to on YouTube. He was still going to the gym. Logan was on deployment, so it was, I think, December when he came back, and that's when Logan was like, all right, we're gonna start planning this. And
so
Nathan,
you guys feel like Logan didn't have a good reason to kick him out?
I don't
like,
think
he was
so
doing all
whatsoever.
the work.
Like, Nathan still went to go see Sterling Cooper like he was supposed to with Logan while Logan was on the phone. He still did everything he was supposed to be doing. They felt that he was caring more about me than AOC.
Okay. Yeah, you know, I sometimes talk to Logan about this, and then certain things, not just about this, but then like we had to talk a little bit about this, and he did say that there were some other concerns. It wasn't just because he was spending time with you. So
yeah, I know. He said that he felt that they had different views on things, such as, you know, when it came to the things that I was doing in our relationship that Logan felt wasn't right.
Okay.
But I think that Nathan's heart was in AOC. That's all he wanted. That's all, you know, they spent 7 years working on that together. And he was doing everything that he could to, you know, do that for Logan. And, you know, the whole conversation went down of choose her or choose me. And at the end of the day, Nathan felt he chose what was more right for him. And, you know, he felt that, yes, they did have differences when it came to their beliefs towards relationships. But that was basically Nathan just saying, like, I don't want to be a part of, certain things when it comes to parties where they only invite girls and all these girls are allowed to flirt with them. Like, he didn't want to disrespect me, so he didn't want to be a part of those things. When I had first met Nathan, they had me going on dating apps finding girls for this party that I wasn't allowed to go to. And then it was just Logan and Nathan and like some guys from Alpha's Only Club and just a bunch of girls. And they were like flirting with them, dancing with them, drinking with them, to whereas like if you're in a relationship, you don't want to be a part of those things, right? It makes you look bad. It makes, your relationship look bad. And he felt that was disrespectful and he didn't want to be a part of those things. They were supposed to have like a yacht party with a bunch of like half naked girls. Like, obviously Nathan didn't think that was appropriate, right? So he didn't want to do it. But he still wanted to support it and like, tell everybody, hey, come to this and be with the dudes. But I think that it was unfair the way the situation happened. I think you shouldn't throw away 7 years of a relationship that you had with your buddy because he chose to focus on his relationship, but also still put work into AOC.
Okay. So, I mean, you did mention on the podcast, I know podcast on whatever is, most of it is like a cap, but you did say that it's okay for him to sleep with other girls. So is it still okay for him to sleep with other girls?
No. And the whole entire time from the day of the first podcast, he had never slept with anybody else.
But you guys had the door open, right? And then at that time, if he did sleep with another girl, like, would it happen okay? No.
When he went to Australia, like, we had talked about it, and I told him, I said, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I had already told him, I said, but if you choose to do that, then I just can't do that, And actually, now that I think about it, like, we had a huge thing where we talked about the sex when it comes to that, right?
Yeah.
So Logan goes around and fucks all these girls. Nathan used to do that, right? And I've come to a realization that when it comes to men thinking that it's okay to fuck a bunch of girls, when they actually find one true girl that, they want to be with forever, they want to marry, the sex isn't as important, right? It doesn't mean anything to them.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? And so obviously, sex is a very important thing in a relationship. Intimacy is very important, right?
I'm a virgin, so I actually don't know what you're talking about.
Well, if you did, intimacy is very important. And, it's a very important time for you guys to be close to each other, get to explore each other's, bodies and all that stuff. And it's very emotional. And I realized that in the beginning that I noticed that he didn't take it as important as I took it, right? To him, it was like, oh, sex is sex. It's whatever. I don't care. But that's somebody that I saw myself being in a long-term relationship with. So to a point, it turned into, well, I don't really want to have sex with you because it didn't mean anything to you. And I think that can really affect relationships because to him, he didn't see it as anything except for a transaction. He said, you have sex with me and that's that. Mm-hmm. Whereas now that we're married, like over time, when he started changing his ways and actually learning from a woman's perspective as well, he realized that the only person he wants to have sex with is me because that's the only time it feels important, that it feels like something. Everybody knows that, if you have sex with someone random, it doesn't mean anything, right? Because you're like, whatever.
Correct.
I don't know this person. Like, I have no strings attached to this person. But, I realized that guys can't be out fucking everybody.
So what do you think about the whole thing about virgin guy versus a guy who was a hoe? Like, which one would you prefer? A guy who's a virgin or a guy who slept with many women?
I think it doesn't matter to me. I think, yes, when it comes to being with someone who's a virgin, that it's a lot more important to them. But you always have that worry of it becoming, okay, well, are they with me because I'm the only person that's ever had sex with them? Do they actually want to be with me? Or they just, they just have that attachment to me?
Yeah.
And then there's...
We had this like very interesting talk on another podcast episode of ours. Mm-hmm. There were like two girls and they were saying that it's important for a man to go through his hoe phase. So I see Nathan, he gone through his whole phase. Mm-hmm. He slept with 30 plus women, right? 33, if I'm not mistaken. So he said it on 40. Okay. I mean, he said it on the fucking podcast. So it's public information.
No one caught it though. Yeah. I try to get away from that.
Okay. So does that bother you? Because it's like a credit report, right? Like he fucked so many girls and then it makes you think that maybe he might be needing that. It's something like a need.
I think it hindered his progress. I think that it stopped him from being able to understand women from an emotional point of view. Because to us, like, when we have sex with somebody, like, it's important, right? Like, to us, you know, we have different feelings towards it than men do. But the only way that relationships work if a man is able to understand a woman emotionally. And having sex is emotional for us. He wasn't able to understand at first. Because anytime, you know, imagine, you know, you're hooking up with some girl, like, obviously, maybe you don't want her to stay the night. You're just like, oh, okay, goodbye, you know, whatever. Yeah. Then you don't feel any type of way. But for him, because it was such, you know, a routine of like, all right, I had all these hoes, I don't really care about them, I don't need to do this, he fell out of what he was actually supposed to be doing. So instead of nurturing me after, instead of making sure I was okay, instead of caring, instead of like, you know, laying there with me, making me feel secure, in the beginning it turned into like, oh, okay, whatever.
Okay.
And it hurt me because it made me feel like he didn't really care about me. But he just didn't understand from an emotional perspective, because to him sex was whatever.
I mean, I don't understand either because I'm a virgin, as I said. But I was just fucking around. No, I get what you mean. I mean, I've had my fuckboy phase, and I know how it feels to like just not understand a woman's point of view, and then just understanding that now. And then once you get past that whole phase, I feel like you start to really value who you connect with and not really sex. So I do kind of see what those guests that I had on, what they were saying, but I also, if I were a girl, I would worry that it's a credit report. Like, what if this guy is like a sex addict? He needs to fuck new girls all the time because he wants a different taste. Sometimes we want McDonald's, sometimes we want sushi, sometimes we want Thai food, Chinese food, you know? So there's some guys like that. They get sick of the same fucking body or pussy that they're just like, I want to try something new.
But it's all the same. No, because it's all the same. Like, I don't know when sex turned into just like this action and this feeling of like, oh, I get to put my dick in someone's fucking vagina. You know, I don't know when it became just as simple as that. But in reality, like, being in a relationship with someone, that's who you choose to be close with. That's who you choose to explore new things with. Explore your body, get to know, you know, new things that you like and that you don't like. And you're able to communicate that.
Correct. I find that a little bit contradicting though, because you say that and then the first day you met him, you slept with him, right? You guys fucked the first day.
I think that happened mostly because, and I said it on the other podcast, it happened mostly because of the conversation that we held before, right? And like I said, we had talked for like 3 hours, and we had a connection because he didn't know that I had military parents. He started talking about the military, and we started making jokes, and he was like, how do you know that? Yeah. You know, and we actually like connected on that.
Yeah.
We connected on those, you know, different types of topics. And then, you know, he started showing me some of his drawings. He started telling me certain things he was interested in. And, you know, we connected on that sense. But like I said, we had already been
before
talking.
You guys fucked.
Yeah, we had already been talking as well before we met. We had been texting, you know, we had been doing all of those things. So it wasn't just like first interaction, first talk, now we're having sex. Like, we had been talking.
Yeah. Okay. Because everyone's impression online, my impression, I mean, you know, you just hooked up with him.
Yeah. But it wasn't that.
Okay, but fact is that you guys hooked up once you guys first time met, right? And a lot of people would find that a little bit contradicting, because it's like you say all these things that you think sex is very important and you got to be emotionally connected, but it was the first time you guys met. So why did you do that?
Like I said, we had a connection on the conversation that we had. It was a very personal conversation. It got very deep very quickly. And we were able to understand each other on a different level. And that's why, you know, what happened had happened. And ever since then, we stayed together ever since then. I mean, I would feel differently if he had never talked to me ever again, obviously, right? Say after the podcast, he never texted me, we didn't hang out. I would feel completely different. But he didn't. And that's obviously because, like I said, we had that connection and we talked about those certain things.
Okay, cool. I think let's get into a fucking debate mode now. It's gonna get a little bit spicy, so stick around. Men are fucking suffering. There's so many average looking dudes. Like, dude, you're with a dude who's fucking model status.
I think statistically now, an uglier guy would have a higher chance than a hotter guy who has a high body count. Because
that's bullshit.
Because listen,
you gotta be careful.